Today, our main focus is on the Great Scientific Revolution.
Recently, universities were able to start introducing science to its students.
Yeah, initially they were reluctant to share that information due to the fact that it goes against all religious standpoints.
Well, they did have the institutes of sharing where scientists could come together, communicate, exchange ideas, and debate. Later, this led to the Royal Society of London.
I would like to welcome a special guest to this special scientific edition of the news, Margaret Cavendish.
Hello, thank you for such a warm welcome. I'm pleased to be here.
We're glad to have you. I'm going to ask you a few questions today, but first I'd like to start out by walking through the initial background of the start of the scientific revolution, beginning in 1550. Here people began to pave the way for science and used it while searching for the truth of the world.
Yes, math also became a huge component. Before all of this came about, we were taught about the works of Aristotle and Ptolemy, and a huge theory was the Earth was the center of the universe.
Let's take a look at a few causes that led to this revolution.
A leading cause was the Renaissance, which included the discovery of ancient mathematics and the invention of the printing press. This was followed by an increase in the overseas voyages, along with the Reformation causing people to question medieval Christianity and the society.
Thank you, Lydia. Now, Mrs. Cavendish, can you tell me about the role that Copernicus played during this time?
Sure. Copernicus created what was known as the Copernican hypothesis. He proposed that the universe was really sun-centered and moved in epicircles around the sun.
That was different for this time, correct? Because he made the crazy proposal that the universe was heliocentric rather than geocentric. Now, I heard that there was some controversy when a man by the name of Brahe, an astronomer, said that the sun was not actually in the center.
Yes, he made the observation with his own eyes. He states that the Earth was stationary and that everything moved around it.
Thank you. Now let's take a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. We left off on Kepler, right? He was a German mathematician and astronomer. Miss Cavendish, elaborate what he brought to the table.
Please call him Margaret, dear. He was a wonderful one man. But yes, you're entirely correct. He established the 3 laws of planetary motion. He said that the orbit of the planets around the sun was elliptical and that the planets don't move in a uniform speed, and that the time for a planet to complete the orbit is related to the distance from the sun.
Those are still concepts we use in physics today, correct? I'm pretty sure I learned about them when I was in school.
Yes, dear. Oh, I know who the next person you're going to ask me about.
And who might that be?
Oh, a lovely gentleman who goes by the name of Galileo. Bless his little heart.
Yes, as I was researching him, I saw that he came up with and used the experimental method, or used the repeated experiments rather than just speculation.
Oh yes, he also, using a telescope, found mountains on the moon, Jupiter's moons, Saturn's ring, and guess what else?
What?
The sun has spots!
He was a very large factor in the revolution, wasn't he?
Why, yes. However, the church ruined him by taking his grand ideas and placing him under house arrest until he died. Poor man. He was so smart.
Now, even though all these new things were coming about, people still didn't know how the planets moved.
My friends, Sir Isaac Newton and Francis Bacon, might be able to help us out with that.
I do know a little bit about Newton. He stated the law of universal gravitation, correct?
Correct. All objects in the universe attract to all other objects in a relationship based on mass and distance. He was also credited with inventing calculus and Newtonian physics.
Now, Bacon, he didn't quite deal with the planets, correct?
Right. He created the inductive method in which you must acquire evidence through observation and experimentation. This removed any religious bias.
I think, therefore, I am.
That, my dear, is Descartes. He advocated thought founded on a mathematical model.
Oh, he also proposed the deductive reasoning, where you reach a conclusion based on logic, not experiments. Didn't this lead to the scientific method?
Why, yes, indeed it did.
Okay, so we touched upon the scientific societies earlier in the episode, but what role did women like you play?
Sadly, we didn't play much of a role. We were excluded and thought of as having an inferior minds until the 19th century.
Now, what types of activities or differences between the noblewomen and the artisan women were there?
Well, noble women were able to engage through their husband, and artisan women were able to assist husband, fathers, or sons in the family.
Now, Margaret, what was your main contribution to science?
I was actually the only woman allowed to visit a meeting of the Royal Society of London, and I was able to publish works in natural philosophy.
Thank you so much for putting your input on this matter. We wish to have you back soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Now, the religious impact took a great toll on the advancement of science. Until 1630, all religious bodies opposed the Copernican system, and after the Catholic Reformation, the Church became hostile towards science. Now, the religious impact took a great toll on the advancement of science. Until 1630, all religious bodies opposed the Copernican system, and after the Catholic Reformation, the Church became hostile towards science.
Yes, many scientists believed that they were analyzing God's creation, which wasn't viewed as such a great thing, apparently.
The impacts were huge, though. An intellectual revolution that overturned a medieval and theological worldview. It also formed the basis for modern thought and medical knowledge. It improved navigation and map-making, thus making exploration easier. It also helped accelerate the agricultural revolution in the 18th century, which eventually led to the Enlightenment.
Yes, and as the years pass, I'm sure there will be a much greater discoveries. Have a wonderful night, everyone, and let's have another round of applause for our guest night.
Thank you. Have a nice night. Alright, ready?
Yep.
Hello.
Action. I cannot talk.
The scientific revolution.
Aaron! We were taught about the works of Aristotle and Ptolemy.
Miss Cavendish, elaborate on what you brought to the table.
Please call me Margaret.
Done.